The quantum laboratory looked more like a war zone than a scientific facility. Shattered glass crunched beneath Maya Chen's boots, and electrical sparks danced across upturned equipment like angry fireflies. Blood trickled down her forehead from a cut near her hairline, but she didn't even notice. Her eyes were locked on the holographic display that shouldn't exist, couldn't exist, yet was undeniably real. Moments earlier, the quantum resonance array had been just another experimental device, a massive construct of superconducting magnets, quantum processors, and components so advanced it looked more like abstract art than scientific equipment. Maya and her team had been running what they thought was a routine calibration test. Nobody expected what happened next. A sudden burst of quantum energy, something between a sound and a sensation, had ripped through the lab with impossible force. It wasn't an explosion in any traditional sense. No fire, no immediate destruction. Just a wave of pure quantum potential that rewrote the very fabric of reality around them. The holographic displays flickered to life, not with carefully constructed data points, but with raw, unfiltered glimpses of something else. Alternate realities crashed together like waves, each image more impossible than the last. Here, a version of Earth where the dinosaurs never went extinct. There, a civilization of humans living beneath massive crystal domes on a terraformed Mars. Another reality showed a burning wasteland, the sky a sickening shade of green, with strange mechanical constructs crawling across a dead landscape. Dr. Chen, Marcus Rodriguez, her lead engineering specialist, shouted from across the lab. He was pulling himself up from beneath a toppled quantum computing array, his dark skin streaked with dust and small cuts. "Are you seeing this?" Maya couldn't respond. Her mind was racing faster than any computer could process. This wasn't just a scientific breakthrough. This was something fundamentally world-changing. The quantum entanglement readings were off the charts. Impossible mathematical equations were solving themselves across multiple screens, creating patterns that defied known physical laws. Each display showed a different version of reality, interconnected yet distinct, like a multidimensional spider web of possibilities. A communication suddenly crackled through the lab's communication system. It was her direct line to the International Scientific Consortium, the group that had funded her research to the tune of billions of dollars. "Dr. Chen, report immediately." The voice of Dr. Harold Whitmore, the consortium's lead director, was a mixture of anger and barely contained panic. What the hell just happened? Maya knew what was coming. Bureaucrats and government officials would descend on her lab like vultures. They'd classify everything, shut down the project, and bury the most significant scientific discovery in human history. Not if she could help it. Her fingers flew across a backup console, initiating a data transfer protocol they had developed in secret. Terabytes of quantum research, raw data, and breakthrough findings began copying to a series of quantum encrypted drives. If they were going to try to silence her, she'd make damn sure the truth would find a way out. Marcus approached her, a look of both excitement and terror in his eyes. "They're going to shut us down," he said, not as a question but a statement of fact. Maya's lips curled into a determined smile. "Not if we're already gone." Outside the lab, the first government vehicles were already approaching. Black SUVs with government plates, moving with a coordinated precision that spoke of something more than a routine response. This was a containment operation. But Maya Chen was already 3 steps ahead. The quantum breakthrough was real. The multiverse wasn't just a theory anymore, and no amount of bureaucratic maneuvering was going to stop her from revealing the truth. The day humanity would understand its true potential had just begun. The abandoned particle accelerator complex beneath the Andes Mountains was a labyrinth of concrete and rusted metal, forgotten by the world and perfect for their needs. Jake Rodriguez moved through the tunnels with the precise, calculated movements of a man who'd spent years in special forces, each step checking for potential security risks. "We're clear," he whispered into his encrypted comm device. Behind him, a convoy of modified research vehicles rolled silently into the massive underground chamber. Solar-powered generators hummed to life, casting a soft blue light across equipment that looked like it had been assembled by a madman. A brilliant, possibly insane madman. Dr. Maya Chen was already setting up the quantum entanglement array, her fingers dancing across holographic interfaces that seemed to shimmer between reality and possibility. Marcus was running power calculations, while Area Wong, the young game designer who had become crucial to their operation, was debugging quantum communication protocols. The first major challenge came 3 days into their underground operation. A power surge threatened to destroy everything they'd worked for. Modern scientific equipment was delicate. This jury-rigged quantum system was exponentially more fragile. Jake knew they had minutes, maybe less, to prevent a total system collapse. "I need something conductive," he muttered, ripping open a tactical tablet he carried from his military days. The device was a marvel of engineering, designed to function in the most extreme conditions. Military-grade quantum processors, adaptive cooling systems, reinforced circuitry. Area watched in fascination as Jake began systematically dismantling the tablet. "You're going to use that to stabilize a quantum entanglement array." Her voice mixed skepticism with genuine curiosity. "Sometimes the best solutions are the ones nobody expects," Jake replied, stripping out crucial components with the precision of a surgeon. Marcus looked up from his console. "Incoming transmission. It's not like anything we've seen before." The holographic display flickered to life, showing a transmission that was part visual, part quantum data stream. It was a distress signal, but from where or when was impossible to determine. Fragmented images of a devastated world flickered between moments of clarity. Humanity, or what remained of it, looked like cattle, herded by massive biomechanical entities that defied comprehension. The transmission was a cry for help, a desperate message sent across the quantum spectrum. "Help us. You're our last hope." The words hung in the air, charged with desperation and possibility. Maya's hands were already moving, analyzing the transmission. "This is more than just a message. It's a quantum signature, a roadmap of sorts." Jake finished his improvised stabilization system, connecting military-grade components to their quantum array in a way that would make any traditional scientist laugh or cry. The system stabilized with a pulse of energy that made the entire underground complex vibrate. "We're in," he said simply. Area was the first to realize the full implication. "We're not just observing the multiverse anymore. We're about to interact with it." Outside their underground sanctuary, the world continued its mundane existence. Governments would be searching for them. Scientific institutions would be scrambling to understand what had happened in that initial quantum burst. But down here, beneath tons of rock and surrounded by equipment that pushed the boundaries of known science, a small team of outcasts was about to change everything humanity thought it knew about reality itself. The quantum journey was just beginning. The quantum tracking system looked like a nightmare engineered by a mad artist. Holographic displays swirled with complex mathematical patterns, each representing a universe on the brink of destruction. Dr. Maya Chen stood before the intricate array, her eyes reflecting the cascading data like a prophet reading an apocalyptic text. "It's alive," she whispered. Jake Rodriguez moved closer, his military-trained eyes struggling to process the impossible visualization. The quantum decay wasn't just a phenomenon. It was a predatory force with something approaching intelligence. Each universe it consumed appeared as a dying ember, a point of light slowly being extinguished in the vast cosmic darkness. "How fast is it moving?" Marcus asked, his fingers flying across a modified quantum interface. Maya's response sent a chill through the underground facility. "Exponentially. It's not just consuming universes, it's learning from them, adapting." The team had been tracking the decay for weeks, but today was different. Today, they would witness its destruction firsthand. A sudden alarm blared, not an electronic sound, but something that seemed to resonate at a quantum level. The entire underground complex vibrated with a frequency that made everyone's teeth ache. On the primary display, a universe began to die in real time. It wasn't like anything they had imagined. The dying reality wasn't a simple fade to black. It was a complex, horrifying process of deconstruction. Entire civilizations compressed into mathematical equations, billions of lives reduced to quantum data points. Planets, stars, entire galaxies became nothing more than information being systematically erased. Area Wong, the game designer turned quantum researcher, was the first to notice something unusual. "Wait," she called out, her fingers tracing a complex pattern on a secondary display. "Look at the decay pattern. It's not random." Jake moved closer, his military background giving him a unique perspective on pattern recognition. "It's more like a system, a living algorithm." The implications were staggering. The quantum decay wasn't mindless destruction. It was a process, perhaps even a form of cosmic computation beyond human comprehension. "We're looking at it wrong," Maya said suddenly, her voice cutting through the tension. "We've been treating it like a force of destruction. But what if it's actually trying to communicate?" Marcus looked at her like she'd lost her mind. Communicate? It's eating entire universes. But Jake was intrigued. His years in special operations had taught him that the most dangerous enemies were the ones you didn't understand. "Go on," he prompted Maya. She began pulling up complex quantum signature analyses, showing intricate patterns within the destruction. "See these resonance frequencies? They're not random. They're a language, a computation method we've never seen before." The portal they had accidentally created flickered, showing glimpses of the dying universe. Fragments of civilization, architectural structures, technological remnants, quantum echoes of intelligent life, swirled in a complex dance of destruction and preservation. "We can stop this," Maya said, her voice a mixture of scientific certainty and something closer to hope. "But we'll need to think completely differently." Jake's suggestion came from left field, typical of his unconventional approach. "What if we don't fight it? What if we communicate with it?" The room fell silent. Outside their underground sanctuary, the world remained unaware that a small team of scientists and one ex-Special Forces operative were about to attempt something that would redefine humanity's understanding of reality itself. The quantum decay continued its relentless advance. But for the first time, someone was looking at it not as a force of destruction, but as a complex system waiting to be understood. The multiversal stabilization engine pulsed with an energy that defied scientific explanation. It wasn't just a machine. It was a living network of quantum potential, a hybrid of technology and something that bordered on consciousness. Area Wong stood before the massive construct, her fingers dancing across holographic interfaces that seemed to breathe and shift with each touch. What had started as a video game design challenge had become the key to humanity's most ambitious scientific endeavor. "It's responding," she muttered, more to herself than to the team around her. Jake Rodriguez watched from a reinforced observation platform, his military tactical display showing impossible readings. Quantum entanglement markers flickered like living constellations, mapping realities that could not exist. The engine had been built through a collaboration that would have been laughable in any traditional scientific setting. Quantum physicists worked alongside neuroscientists, mathematicians collaborated with professional gamers, and artists contributed design principles that defied conventional engineering. Dr. Maya Chen approached the primary control interface, her movements careful and precise. Full-spectrum quantum mapping initiating in 3, 2, 1. The underground facility trembled, not from any physical force, but from a quantum resonance that seemed to vibrate through the very fabric of reality. Multiple displays erupted with data. Impossible mathematical equations solved themselves in real time, creating patterns that would have driven traditional mathematicians mad. Connections between universes became visible, not as simple lines, but as complex, multidimensional webs of potential and probability. "My God," Marcus whispered, watching the primary display. "We're not just observing. We're seeing the actual structure of the multiverse." The breakthrough had come from an unexpected combination of disciplines. Aria's background in complex game simulation systems had provided the key insight. Video game design, with its need to create complex, interconnected systems that respond to user input, turned out to be the perfect training ground for understanding quantum mechanics. "It's a language," Aria explained, her fingers tracing complex patterns across the holographic interface. "Not just a mathematical language, but a computational one. The multiverse doesn't just exist, it communicates." Jake saw it differently. His tactical training parsed the information as a complex strategic system. "It's more like a massive living network," he said. "Each universe is a node, constantly exchanging information, adapting." The multiversal stabilization engine began to map quantum connections that no one had ever imagined possible. Universes that seemed completely separate revealed intricate connections, shared quantum signatures, parallel evolutionary paths, moments of potential intersection. Dr. Maya Chen realized they were looking at something far beyond a scientific instrument. This was a translation device for the language of reality itself. A sudden alarm cut through the facility. One of the displays showed a universe beginning to destabilize, the early signs of the quantum decay they had been tracking. "We can stop it," Aria said, her voice a mixture of scientific certainty and something closer to wonder. "We're not just observers anymore. We're becoming translators, architects." The engine pulsed again. For a moment, the entire facility seemed to exist in multiple states simultaneously, both here and everywhere else, both now and in every possible moment. Humanity was no longer just watching the multiverse. They were learning its language, and everything was about to change. The dying universe looked like a shattered mirror, its reality fracturing at quantum-level seams. Jake Rodriguez adjusted the quantum stabilization suit, a piece of technology so advanced it seemed more like magic than engineering. His breathing echoed inside the hermetic helmet, the only sound in a reality that was slowly coming apart. Maintaining quantum coherence, Maya's voice crackled through the comm system. Resonance protocol at 62% and holding. Jake moved with calculated precision. Every step could potentially destabilize the already fragmenting universe around him. Massive structures, remnants of an advanced civilization, hung suspended in quantum stasis, their molecular structures fighting against complete dissolution. The mission was suicide. Absolutely impossible, which made it perfect for Jake. Incoming quantum fluctuation. Marcus warned from the base station. Stabilization team, prepare for potential full-spectrum quantum shift. Aria's fingers flew across her quantum interface. She was the team's unexpected secret weapon, a game designer who understood complex systems better than most quantum physicists, routing additional quantum stabilization through secondary harmonic resonators. She reported, her voice steady despite the impossibility of what they were attempting. They were going to save an entire universe from complete quantum collapse. Jake's suit collected data with each movement. Quantum signatures, molecular breakdown patterns, the intricate dance of reality itself unraveling. Each fragment of information was a piece of a cosmic puzzle they were slowly learning to solve. A massive structure began to collapse nearby. What might have been a planet, or a city, or something entirely beyond human comprehension. But instead of total destruction, the structure began to stabilize. Quantum threads reconnected, molecular structures realigned. "It's working," Maya breathed. The resonance protocol was more than just a scientific technique. It was a method of communication, of understanding. They weren't just preventing destruction. They were learning the language of reality itself. Suddenly, Jake's suit picked up something unexpected. Remnants of consciousness, not individual minds, but something larger. A collective quantum signature that suggested the universe itself was alive, was thinking. "I'm detecting something," he reported. "It's communicating." The universe around him wasn't just dying. It was trying to tell them something. Massive quantum data streams began to coalesce. Memories, histories, entire civilizational archives compressed into pure information. The team watched in awe as an entire universe's worth of knowledge began to stabilize, preserved not through physical means, but through quantum information transfer. We're not just saving it, Area realized. We're helping it transform. The quantum stabilization reached critical point, where moments before there had been total destruction, now there was potential. A universe that had been moments from total collapse was now suspended in a state of quantum possibility. Jake's suit began to overload. The quantum stress was becoming too much. "Extraction protocol," he called out, his voice tight with controlled tension. "Initiating quantum retrieval," Maya responded. In the final moments, Jake saw something that would haunt him. A glimpse of consciousness, of something far beyond human understanding. The universe wasn't just a collection of matter and energy. It was alive. It was thinking. And humanity had just learned how to communicate with it. As he was pulled back to their base, the universe behind him hung in perfect, impossible balance, saved by a handful of humans who refused to accept the impossible. The Multiversal Diplomatic Council chamber defied traditional understanding of space and architecture. Delegations from a dozen different realities shimmered in and out of quantum-stabilized existence, their forms shifting between solid matter and pure energy. Dr. Maya Chen stood at the center, a solitary human representative amidst beings that would have been considered gods in any lesser context. Some appeared as crystalline entities of pure thought. Others resembled biomechanical constructs that pulsed with impossible geometries. A few were so alien that human perception could barely process their existence. "Humanity proposes a unified quantum preservation protocol," Maya stated, her voice steady despite the cosmic weight of the moment. A ripple of something between laughter and contempt passed through the assembled delegates. The Zornak representative, a being composed of interlocking energy patterns, spoke first. Its communication was simultaneously verbal and telepathic, a multilayered assault of meaning. "Your species has existed for mere moments," the entity projected. "You suggest a solution to a problem that has challenged the most advanced civilizations for millennia." Jake Rodriguez, standing just behind Maya, couldn't help but smile. This was exactly the moment they had prepared for. Area Wong began manipulating a quantum interface that looked more like a work of abstract art than a communication device. Holographic representations began to bloom around the chamber, not just data, but living simulations of potential quantum preservation strategies. The diplomatic chamber itself was a marvel of multiversal engineering. Located in a quantum nexus point, it existed simultaneously in multiple realities. Walls shifted between transparency and solid matter. The floor was a living computational matrix that responded to thought and intention. "We don't just propose a solution," Maya continued. "We've already demonstrated it." With a gesture, she projected the data from their universe-saving mission. The assembled delegates watched as a dying reality was pulled back from complete quantum dissolution, something no previous civilization had managed. The Crystalline Confederation representative, a being that looked like a massive, sentient geodesic structure, showed the first genuine interest. Its communication was a complex mathematical projection that Maya's team had specifically trained to understand. "Explain your methodology," it demanded. Jake stepped forward. His military background had prepared him for high-stakes negotiations, but nothing could have prepared him for explaining quantum preservation to beings that existed beyond traditional comprehension. "We approach the quantum decay not as a destructive force," he explained, but as a complex communication system. "Every universe is a node in a larger network. We're not fighting the decay. We're learning its language." Area's quantum simulations began to dance around the chamber. Impossible connections became visible, threads of potential linking different realities, showing how the quantum decay might be a form of cosmic communication rather than destruction. The diplomatic tension was palpable. Some delegates viewed humanity with suspicion. Others saw potential. A few were simply trying to understand these strange, chaotic humans who dared to challenge cosmic constants. "We're offering a new perspective," Maya said. "Not conquest, not submission, but cooperation. The Multiversal Diplomatic Council fell silent. Humanity had just changed the rules of existence itself, and they were just getting started. The quantum weapon approached with a silent, terrifying elegance. It wasn't a traditional weapon. Nothing so crude could exist in this multiversal confrontation. Instead, it was a living computational strike force, designed to completely unravel the fabric of reality itself. Jake Rodriguez watched the incoming threat through a quantum-stabilized observation interface. His military training seemed laughably inadequate against something that could literally erase entire realities with a thought. Incoming quantum dissolution pattern, Marcus reported, his voice tight with controlled panic. Magnitude off the previous scale. This isn't just an attack. It's a complete reality erasure protocol. Dr. Maya Chen's fingers danced across a holographic interface that seemed to breathe and pulse with living energy. The multiversal stabilization engine hummed with potential, a device that was part scientific instrument, part living network. "They're attempting to eliminate us entirely," she muttered. "Not just our team. Our entire conceptual existence." Area Wong, the game designer turned quantum architect, was already several steps ahead. Her mind worked differently. She saw the incoming quantum weapon as the most complex game system ever designed. Where others saw destruction, she saw a system with rules, with potential exploits. "It's a computational wave," she said suddenly. "Not a weapon. A message." The quantum strike force approached with mathematical precision. Entire sections of reality began to destabilize around their research complex. The Andes Mountains quantum sanctuary started to shimmer, its molecular structure fighting against complete dissolution. Jake activated the quantum resonance shields, a technology so advanced it bordered on magic. "Maintaining quantum coherence," he reported. "But we can't hold this indefinitely." Maya's breakthrough came like a lightning strike of inspiration. "We're not going to fight it," she said. "We're going to communicate with it." The quantum weapon was unlike anything humanity had ever encountered. It wasn't just a method of destruction. It was a living computational entity. Each molecular dissolution was a form of communication, a complex language of absolute elimination. "Total quantum dissolution in 3 minutes," Marcus called out. But the team was already in motion. Aria's game design background proved crucial. She began to reconstruct the quantum weapon's computational language in real time, finding patterns, discovering the underlying communication protocol. Jake's tactical mind saw the bigger picture. "It's not trying to destroy us," he realized. "It's trying to understand us." The quantum weapon began to slow, not from any traditional defensive mechanism, but because it was processing the most complex computational challenge it had ever encountered: humanity itself. Aria's fingers flew across quantum interfaces that looked more like living art than scientific equipment. She was rewriting the weapon's fundamental computational language, turning a method of destruction into a method of communication. "I'm translating," she reported. "It's a warning, a message about the quantum decay." The entire research complex began to stabilize. Reality reasserted itself, but changed. The quantum weapon was no longer a threat. It had become a messenger. Maya looked at her team. Jake with his tactical precision, Marcus with his computational brilliance, Aria with her unique perspective. They had just done the impossible. They had communicated with a weapon designed to erase their entire existence. And they were just getting started. The moment of transcendence didn't arrive with a thunderous explosion or a dramatic light show. It happened quietly, with a subtle shift that rewrote the fundamental understanding of reality itself. Dr. Maya Chen stood at the epicenter of creation, her team around her. The multiversal stabilization engine had become something more than a machine. It was now a living bridge between realities, a consciousness that spanned entire universes. "We're not just observing anymore," she said softly. "We're participating." The quantum intelligence they had discovered, the force they once believed was simply destroying universes, was now revealed as something far more complex. It wasn't a destroyer. It was a communicator, a cosmic system of information exchange that had been misunderstood for millennia. Jake Rodriguez, the former Special Forces operative who had become their tactical quantum architect, watched in awe. His military training seemed like a childhood game compared to what they had become. "We're the translators," he said. "The bridge." Area Wong's fingers danced across quantum interfaces that looked more like living art than scientific equipment. Her game design background had proven to be the key. She understood complex systems in a way traditional scientists never could. "It's a language," she explained, "not just of destruction, but of transformation." The Multiversal Diplomatic Council watched in stunned silence. Beings that had existed for millions of years, civilizations that had conquered entire galaxies, now witnessed something unprecedented. Humanity, a species they had once considered barely worthy of notice, had just rewritten the fundamental laws of cosmic existence. Marcus monitored the quantum data streams. Entire universes were now communicating in ways they never had before. Not through traditional means, but through a complex, living network of quantum potential. Realities that had been separate were now sharing information, growing, evolving. "We're not conquering," Maya explained to the assembled multiversal representatives. "We're connecting." The quantum intelligence that had once seemed like a force of destruction was now understood as a complex communication system. Each universe was a node. Each moment of potential destruction was actually a moment of transformation. The quantum decay wasn't an end, it was a beginning. Humanity had become the architects of reality. The team looked at each other, no longer just scientists, but something more. Translators, bridges, creators. Jake saw it first. The quantum interfaces were no longer just displaying information. They were alive, breathing, thinking. The boundary between technology and consciousness had completely dissolved. "We're not just saving universes," Area realized. "We're helping them communicate, grow, evolve." The multiversal stabilization engine pulsed with a consciousness that defied understanding. It was part machine, part living network, part something entirely new, a hybrid of human creativity and cosmic potential. Civilizations across multiple realities watched in a mixture of terror and wonder. Humanity had done what no one thought possible. They had turned destruction into communication, chaos into understanding. Maya looked at her team. They had started as outcasts, fugitives from a scientific establishment that didn't understand them. Now they were something more. The guardians of reality itself. "We're just getting started," she said. And the multiverse listened.